I actually was in bed sleeping, and I looked and I saw on the phone Steven Spielberg, and I didn't answer. And I was like embarrassed. I wanted to be lucid for the phone call. So I called him back about a half hour later. Got up, But he said it was his favorite buddy movie since Bush Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which was high compliment. William Goldman and that movie.
Forget about every other review. Spielberg compares your movie to Bush and Sundance. You're gold.
Yeah.
Hey everybody. So, one question here, but what did you think of Green Book? Before we bring out our guest of honor, just some stats about Green Book. It all started back at the Toronto Film Festival in September, where the film won the People's Choice Award, and just more recently, the Producers Guild honored it with Best Picture. It won 3 Golden Globes for Supporting Actor for Mahershala Ali, for Screenplay, and for Best Picture Comedy. And it is nominated for 5 Academy Awards. Yes, it is. Including Best Picture. Please welcome writer, producer, director, and all-around great guy, Peter Farrelly.
Thank you very much. Before we get started, today my sister was driving by here, just coincidentally, around 5 o'clock, and she saw the big billboard outside, which was very nice. Said my name and the movie tonight, and she got out to take a picture, and there was a woman waiting in line named Patricia, right here, and it was 5 o'clock.
My letter that I sent to your agent or no?
Pardon me?
I sent you a letter to your agent at CAA, Yana something?
Yana?
Yeah. Anyway, I
My
have a
favorite
copy of the
musician,
letter.
Yanni.
Here's the letter I've sent.
Oh,
So that
okay.
was my 9th time to see your film.
Oh, that's so
9
sweet.
times.
That's very nice, but
I love this
I
film.
brought you a signed poster.
Oh! Thank you so much.
Yeah. My greatest fan. Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Patricia. Okay.
Well, listen, the first question is, for the last few months, I've heard so many people ask, wow, this is a real departure compared to the comedies that your brother have done over the years. So really, what's your reaction when people say that this is a departure, and do you even see this as a departure for yourself?
Yes, it is a departure without doubt. But it's not, I've had a lot of people ask me, is this the hardest movie you ever made? And it's not. It's not. I'm very proud of this movie. I love this movie, but it's not. It wasn't harder than others. It took 7 weeks to shoot, and normally we have 9 or 10 weeks. And it was. I think the hardest movie we ever made was The Three Stooges. To be honest, I'm not kidding. Yeah, because it was based on real characters, and we had to mimic them, and we wrote all new material for them. We didn't want to do the old Three Stooges stuff, and that one was a very high degree of difficulty. But anyway. Yeah, I knew this is definitely a departure, but I was happy that it turned out to be funnier than I thought it would be, to be honest.
And I want to ask you about that. Like as it was initially written, was it more serious? And did the comedy come out more organically because of the amazing chemistry between Mahershala and
that helped a lot. We were very careful. I didn't want to. I've been telling people for 2 years I'm making my first drama, and I avoided jokes. I went on my way to anytime I would think of a joke, I wouldn't do it. And in fact, that pizza thing, that was late. I fought that. We were out to dinner about a week before that scene, and Nick Vallelonga said that his dad used to order pizza and say, "Don't cut it, you just fold it in half and eat it." And Vigo thought that was the funniest thing. I gotta do that. I said, no, this isn't the Three Stooges. I don't want to do that. And then he said, let me do one take on the day, and we did it. The crew didn't know it was coming, and they cracked up, and I thought, okay, let's just keep it. But no, we were reporting it, but they did. Yes, it was the nuanced acting of these two greats. These two guys are how good are they? I it was an amazing thing to watch them do it, and to see little things like that early scene where they stop at the diner and they talk about the orphans. You know, he goes, I saw you think, you know, about the orphans. He goes, Orpheus. Yeah. And that's written as, you know, in the script it says, you know, I got your thing about the orphans. He goes, orphans, you know, the kids sitting around the campfire. He goes, Orpheus. And in scripted he says, oh, but Vigo takes it to the next thing, like, yeah. Like, what did I say? You know, Orpheus and orphans to him, same thing. I don't know what that is. Is that plural of orphans? Or, you know? Yeah. And I was sitting there watching that, and then also Mahershala's reaction to it, which is like, it's just this subtle little, oh my God, this is going to be fucking forever. and his reaction to it, I was sitting there thinking, this is really funny, and I hadn't really thought of that until that. And throughout the whole thing, they definitely elevated it.
Yeah, Vigo has done so much over his career. When you look at films, obviously, okay, Lord of the Rings, 3 of them, but also Eastern Promises, and you know, one of my favorites is A History of Violence from 2005. That movie's awesome. And how many people know the movie that Vigo made his feature film debut? Witness. Go back and watch Witness. I'm telling you, there he is, and he looks exactly the same. But this is very different for him.
Yeah, if I can add something about that Witness thing, he was telling us, he told me, he said, you know, he was an extra in Witness.
Yeah.
He was just an extra because he had a good face. He looked like a, you know, Amish. And he was in, the director, I'm sorry, Peter Weir saw him and thought, oh, that guy's got a good look. Let's move him over here. Let's move him over there. And about halfway through production, it occurred to him. He goes, you know, we don't have enough competition for the woman. We should have someone else in there who's going to be competition for our guy, where maybe there's someone else that could get her, and they get the guy with the chin out here, and they gave him a couple lines, and that started this thing. So, you know, if you're an actor out there, just you think you're an extra and you could get lost in the background, you don't always.
That's true. Yeah. But like, what was it about him that made you think like actually he's our Tony Lynn? And was it an easy yes for him to do this because it was so different from stuff that he's ever done?
It was a no-brainer for me because of everything he's done, including, you know, Captain Fantastic, which was so different than all the others. And I remember watching Captain Fantastic because I missed it when it came out. I thought it was a what do you call it?
An Elton John?
No. I thought it was a
comic book
superhero. Yeah. Thank you. Long week. Superhero movie, and so I didn't watch it. And then my wife said, no, it's not superhero. We watched it. We loved it. And by the way, it's probably why that movie didn't do well, because people want a superhero movie, got there like, what? And then people like me would like that and see it. But anyway, I was watching and I think this guy disappears in roles. And my favorite of all his performances was Eastern Promises.
Great film.
And so he was just the guy, you know, it was no question I wanted to go to him. He did not think he could do it right away. He was concerned, and he asked questions like, well, I don't look anything like the guy. I said, no one knows what he looks like. You're not playing Abe Lincoln, you know. And then when he saw what he looked like, he goes, but that guy's 50 pounds heavier than me. And I said, again, no one knows what he looks like. And anyway, there's fat suits if you want that. He said, no. If I'm going to play the guy, I'm going to gain the 50. I want to feel it. I want to feel the, and he did. He gained 45 pounds. But I had to, it was a bunch of phone calls. And finally I drove up to his place up in Idaho and had a very nervous couple days trying not to blow it because I could see I had him right on the edge, you know. And we, you know, just hung out and talked about it and finally said, I can't do it.
Okay, but the other, obviously, the flip side to this is the great chemistry with Mahershala Ali, who just 2 years ago won a supporting actor Oscar for Moonlight. And he is so great as Don Shirley. I felt like he showed so much more range in this film than he did in Moonlight. It's almost like he's the lead. And like what made him great for Don Shirley, and at what point during the prep, the rehearsal, just meetings, did you see that these guys are dynamite together?
Well, He was absolutely perfect. And, you know, people talk about his performance. I've had a few people say that performance in The Rain where he talks about not, you know, white enough, not black enough, blah, blah. That's unbelievable. I say, yes, but that's his easiest, probably, one of his easier scenes, believe it or not, to be able to let go like that. The harder ones are when you're keeping it all in. And you're sitting there and you're trying to give all this information without much movement. And it's all in the face and in the feeling. It's like kind of magic. And that was what blew my mind. I saw so much stuff that he was doing that was just nuanced, tiny little things. And anyway, we got them together and pretty much, we were in New Orleans and we got them together and pretty much the first week I realized I knew I had unbelievable actors to begin with, obviously, but then I saw their attention to detail and what makes them great actors. I remember one day we were rehearsing and Vigo came by. He had those stones, he picked that stone out, the green stone, and he came by and he had like 12 of them. He had spent the weekend going around town looking for jade stones, and he was like, which one do you like best? And I said, whatever one you like. And he says, I like this one. I said, okay, great. Like he really cared about what that stone looked like. You know, he's like, had looked at it for the whole weekend. Like, which one is it? Which is the stone? And Mahershala said, you know, very early on, he said, I'm going to start taking piano lessons. And I was like, why? You know, you can't get that good. And we need this guy's, we only have like 4 months. And there's no way you're going to be able to play the way we need this guy to play. That was a guy named Chris Bowers, by the way. And I'll get to him in a second. Unbelievable. And I said, you'll never be that good. He says, I don't care if I'm that good. I want to be at a piano for 4 months. So when I sit at a piano, any other piano player in the world will look at me and say, oh, that guy plays piano. It's just the way I sit at the piano. I don't want to look uncomfortable at that piano. I want to look like I know what I'm doing at that piano. And it was like, okay, these guys are really good. You know, that's what I do. I had something special.
You know, in terms of Vigo, so you know, talk about the weight gain, and then you talk about the pizza. So he gained a little bit of weight before filming started, and he gained the rest of it.
He came in 25 up, and he gained 20 while he was shooting. And it's nonstop eating and smoking, by the way. He like, you know, that guy was he was smoking all day. He just couldn't stop often. I remember at the end, I was worried about him. You know, he was big. He gained almost 50 pounds. He was a little wheezy. You know, he really became that guy.
So, you know, there are certain films that you watch where the car is just as much of a character as your actors. I mean, I'm thinking of that yellow Volkswagen bus from Little Miss Sunshine. You know, that was just as much of a character as that family. And this turquoise 1962 Cadillac, why that car and why that color, and how did you come up with that?
Well, that was the car that they drove in during their trip, but the color was black. And this movie, I have an unbelievable DP, director of photography, named Sean Porter. He looks like he's 18. He's actually 30-something. The guy is a superstar. I'd never worked with him before, and I was confused about how to do a lot of things. Every time you make a movie, you find out, you know, there's a lot of things you don't know. Like, for instance, doing the piano thing. You know, I was like, how am I going to do this? You know, what do you do, change the arms? I wasn't sure how to do it. And what we did was face replacement. And I remember the greatest compliment I got was Spielberg, when he saw it, Steven Spielberg, because this is a DreamWorks movie, he called me and he was like blown away. He said, I could not believe how good Mahershala is on the piano. I said, well, he's not playing the piano. Remember the fake shark? I didn't say that. I thought that. I said, well, he's not actually playing. He's not. I was like, oh my God, we fooled Steven Spielberg. We talked a lot about the colors for this movie, and because at one point I was thinking, you know, well, maybe we should do it black and white. It has that old feel. But the truth is, of course, 1962 TV was in black and white in a lot of movies, but the world wasn't. So why are you doing it in black and white? It makes no sense. But that's what I'm thinking. And my DP, Sean Porter, said, I'm going to do it in a color, you're going to think it's in black and white. You're going to feel like it's the color of 1962. We're going to start with only the colors of that time. 1962 film colors, like there's a lot more colors now. We had to stick with yellows, certain greens, oranges, and we were working it around, but we realized that it's really, that color, like there's sometimes it's very bleak, that color, it's a monochromatic look. So he said, can we please get a colorful car? And I was like, yeah. So we picked out a blue car. We needed color in this movie. And but the truth is it wasn't black color, but it was a conscious effort to get something in there that, and also I liked that it was blue because it stood out more in the South and it would draw attention to itself, like when those cops pulled them over, which happened. But that would be one reason. They'd say, what the hell is this car? And then check it out.
In terms of the shooting on the road, shooting in a car, I mean, it's a lot harder than it looks, especially because Vigo is facing this way and Marshall's right behind.
And we didn't time it right. As it turned out, I guess we did, but it didn't occur to me, that we shot the first week, we did all the driving shots first week. And there's a lot of them, and it didn't occur to me that they're never looking at each other the whole time. Yeah. Vigo's looking ahead, and Mahershala is behind him. So Mahershala's looking at the back of Vigo's head, and Vigo can't see him because there's really no mirror there. It's a fake mirror, and it didn't occur to me that they didn't know what each other was doing. They really didn't, and they were going on sound, and it kind of made them better actors. I swear to God, and it's just luck. And I remember one of the first times we ever had a face-to-face was in that diner. And a couple times they cracked up, each of them, watching each other's reactions because they were unaware of it. They've been doing it in the car, too. But they were finally looking at each other, and Vigo sees Mahershala's little like, oh my God. And he was cracking up, and the other way around. So it was really an interesting thing, and a lot of luck. But it made them, I think, better actors.
I want to take it back and talk about Spielberg. What else did he say about this movie? That was a really nice
compliment. He was very, very, very kind. It was, he loved the movie. He watched it alone. He told me he cried a bunch, and it was in the morning. He called me at like 9:30 in the morning. He must have watched it at 7 in the morning at his own thing. And I actually was in bed sleeping, and I looked and I saw on the phone Steven Spielberg, and I didn't answer. Because I was like embarrassed. I wanted to be lucid for the phone call. So I called him back about a half hour later. Got up, But he said it was his favorite buddy movie since Bush Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, that was high compliment. William Goldman and that movie.
Forget about every other review. Spielberg compares your movie to Bush and Sundance. You're gold.
Yeah.
The thing about being at a film festival like Toronto is you go in and like there's all these anticipated films and all the pundits and journalists and critics are always saying these are the movies to look out for. Green Book was not one.
No.
But then that Tuesday night it became one of them very, very fast, and it won the audience award. The People's Choice, which is the best picture.
Yeah.
And that was just for stars. I can't tell you how many other People's Choice awards that movie won, but it was a lot, like 20 or more. What is it about this film that you think that people really are connecting with, or resonating with it, that has really just become like a surprise, critical and commercial hit?
Well, before I answer that, I was going to say we won an award last night at the AARP, the over 50s thing, and at the end of the night, as Martin Short said, he was the host. He said there wasn't a dry seat in the house. But anyway, Martin Short, I'm giving him credit for that. I think it's the hopefulness. I think that's why I wanted to make the movie, because it had hope. When I heard the story and I found out that they were friends, and that's why, if they had ended up enemies and gone their own way, I don't think I would have wanted to do it. But it was the hopefulness of the story, and just the odd coupleness of it. I realized these guys couldn't be more opposite. A sixth grade educated bouncer and a concert pianist with 5 doctorates. in a car together through the South in 1962. It just, and then they found a common ground. That's what appealed to me, and I think that's what gets a lot of people.
You know, I confess a ton of ignorance when I saw this movie. I sort of just in a very bare bones sort of way knew what a Green Book was, you know, in the literal sense, and then seeing the film, it was really opened my eyes to what was going on just for them. I mean, he was a classical trained pianist, 5 doctorates, and he used to stay in places that he can't, you know, other people can stay, but he can't, whatever. And but what does an executive producer like Octavia Spencer, like working with her, like what did she bring to this movie?
Well, you know, she brought a lot, and Mahershala did too, and Viggo did too. Everybody brought a lot, but I needed, you know, she's from Alabama. She grew up with this stuff. She's been there, and I wanted to make sure that there was, you know, it was authentic at times, and I mean throughout, but at times it probably wouldn't be, and I needed her and Mahershala to grab it, and they did, by the way. It was, and I've told this story a lot, but many times Mahershala kind of, you know, righted the ship a little in pre-production, he'd call me in and say, this scene's not right, and I'll tell you why. Like the one that he really fixed was the scene when they finally become friends after the YMCA scene, and they have a cocktail in the lobby of that hotel together, and Mahershala, you know, Dr. Shirley opens up about he always wanted to be a concert pianist, but he couldn't, record company wouldn't let him, and Tony Lip says, well, you know, anybody, what you seal, anybody could train to do that, but what you do, nobody can do, and frankly, I think it's a lot better. And as written, Dr. Shirley said, well, thank you, Tony, and that was the end of the scene. And Mahershala read it and said, this is what, I'm going to say, okay, because a bouncer likes my music now? No. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a concert pianist. And it's like Nina Simone. She was never, as big as she got, she was never happy because she couldn't do what she wanted to do. And he would never accept that, oh, well, this is good that I end up playing this music because it's not what he trained to do. And he said, so he added a line, he says, well, thank you, Tony, he says, but not everybody can play Chopin, not like I can. And it's an important distinction, and he did that a few times throughout, and she did too, Octavia. She would just point out things that were a little off.
You know, in terms of what's being on is obviously the chemistry, but the screenplay is so well written. And I could watch this movie, and I've seen it 5 times. I could watch it over and over again. If it was on cable and I was flipping through and I came across it, I would leave it on. I feel like it's an instant classic. And what else it is? It's a Christmas movie, right? It is look. If Die Hard can be a Christmas movie, this is a Christmas movie. Was that like a conscious sort of thing, just to kind of put that in, or just?
No, that was. You know, this trip actually took place over a year. It was a little over a year. And we did, but the first leg was in the fall and went up to Christmas Eve, and he actually did get there on Christmas Eve. And we wanted to take that leg. We had a lot of letters telling the story. We had 67 letters, and we had audio tapes and stuff that we were drawing from. But we didn't tell it in the order it happened. We took stuff that happened a year later and put it in the order that we wanted to tell it. But it did end on Christmas Eve, that first leg. And in fact, it was even... like I've been accused of like getting that being a little corny, and the truth is, Dr. Shirley showed up with ice skates for both the kids. He had called ahead and gotten that, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. No ice skates. It's good. A bottle of champagne is good. Yeah.
When did you start to get the feel that this is really going to be special? Was it while filming? Was it before filming? Was it watching like a first cut where you could really see it together?
I think I knew we had a good script. And when we got Viggo and Mahershala, and we had no studio, by the way, we had nothing. And in fact, I had Viggo and Mahershala, and I still couldn't get a studio for a while. There was a lot of people saying, well, if you make it for $4 million, and it's like, well, it's a period piece, it's gonna be hard, plus you gotta pay them. And it was hard to get made, but I knew the script was good, and when I got them, I thought, wow, it's really good. And as we were making it, I remember thinking, when we were shooting it, watching their performance, it felt like a special thing, like really special watching it, like to be there as they're actually doing it. Like you get to see it, and that's great, but to be, like when I watched the scene, like any scene in there, I'm thinking of that day, how that day felt itself, being there, and it was magical. It felt like, wow, this is really good. And the whole crew had that feeling, like, Vigo says every movie he makes, most of the movies says, while he's acting, he sees the crew back there on their phones or, doing something, looking around, talking to somebody. He said, but this one, everybody was just staring like they were watching a play. Everybody. The hair and makeup would come up and they'd stand in the back, and it did feel like that. So it felt good. I guess the real answer is Toronto. When we played at Toronto, it just was, we had how many people in there? 1,400?
Thompson.
It exploded at the end, and it was like magic. It just, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, one of the things that I love about the film is just, okay, so here's a movie. It's not a superhero movie. It's not a sequel. It's not a prequel. It's not based on a comic book. It's not, it's not part of a franchise. It's just refreshingly straightforward. It just scenes play out. Like it is literally a perfect blend of drama, of comedy, of heart, and humor. And what were the challenges for you and your co-producers to really walk that line from start to finish?
Well, again, not to get jokey. I always talk about this and people think I'm kidding, but when I grew up, we didn't have a movie theater in my town. I grew up about a half hour from Providence in a town that didn't have a movie theater. So we'd go to the movies probably twice a year to go in for the big movies into the city. So most of my stuff I got from TV, and I learned a lot watching the Andy Griffith Show. I'm not kidding you. That show inspired me. It inspired me because I knew what they were doing, and I read books about it because I liked it so much. And they never went for a joke. It was all character humor, always. And they always, but there were tons of laughs, and there was tons of heart. And I remember my first job out here was with the Zucker brothers and Jim Abrams, who were the greatest guys on the planet, and they were my idols when I came out. And being in a room with them, I couldn't even talk. I was in such awe. But I remember thinking to myself, their style of comedy is joke to the end. And I thought, well, what if there was a little more heart, just a little more, like, what if you were in an airplane? What if that plane, you were worried it would crash? You were really cared. Like, you weren't. You were, because you're just getting joke. But what if you were kind of worried about it? And so when we did Dumb and Dumber, we fought just to have, I needed a little heart in there. And the studio would fight it because we had that one scene where Jim Carrey is, begging Jeff to go, Jeff Daniels to go to Aspen, and he says, come on, man, I don't have anybody, I don't have anything. And he plays it perfectly straight, looks out the window and actually tears up. I remember the studio called and said, cut that, that's bullshit. I was like, what? They said, get out of here, this is a comedy, don't do that. I said, he's selling a dead bird to a blind kid in 2 minutes. You gotta like it. And we needed to go for that little amount of heart. And this one, it was the Andy Griffith thing. I didn't want any jokes. I wanted it all to come from who they are, and also, just keep it real.
How do you think you grew as a writer and as a director making this film?
Well, I learned a lot. This was something, a world that I didn't know about. And I never heard of the Green Book. In fact, we stumbled upon the Green Book in the audio tapes that we had of Tony Lip, where he was talking about, we had like a lot of audio tapes. He's saying, yeah, and then the record company guy needed a book with the black people could stay. Probably went by that 5 times until I said, what the hell is he saying? What a book. And we Googled it, came up with the Green Book. And I couldn't find a white person who had heard of it, and 80% of my black friends hadn't heard of it. Wow. And so we thought, well, that's interesting. We got to put this in. And the whole thing. What did I learn? I learned. Every movie I learned so much. This one I learned a lot about cameras, for one thing.
Yeah.
How to do a certain look, and tons.
Yeah, I noticed there wasn't a title card at the top of the film that said Green Book. Like, what was why not?
Vigo, when we signed Vigo on, he had 3 requests. He goes, I'll do it if you give me 3 requests. Number 1, no title card in the front. I don't like title cards in the front either, because why do that? Why not just wait to the end, get you right into the movie? That's great, awesome, no problem. Number 2, this is a couple years ago, no Weinsteins. That was a request.
Wow.
Before everything blew.
Wow.
I'm not working with them. And number 3, yeah. And number 3 was director get Final Cut. I never had Final Cut. I never asked for Final Cut because I fight my battles, and I've never really lost where I felt like I needed it. If I got steamrolled in a movie, then I would demand Final Cut. But I never had that. I always deal with the studio, like, we work it out. And I convince them why I need this or why I need that. But he said, I'm not doing it unless you get Final Cut. And it was a big issue because the studio didn't give Final Cut. They don't do it. And I was on the phone with them saying, well, it doesn't matter. I don't care. It doesn't. It's just a thing. I'm not gonna exercise that right. And I didn't. It was a collaboration. But he said, I'm signing with you, not a studio that I don't know, and I want you to have Final Cut. So they finally gave it to him, to me, and yeah.
Vigo. Let me tell you something else about Vigo Mortensen. So on Thanksgiving night, I did a Q&A with him and Nick Alwanga at the ArcLight in Hollywood. And so Vigo shows up with this box over his shoulder. And, so we did the Q&A, the 3 of us. And then after the Q&A was done, he goes, okay, let's have a trivia contest now. So he asked questions to people in the audience to see if they were paying attention to the movie. And if people got the questions right, he would give them prizes. And 14 years of moderating these things, that's never happened. And it was really awesome. Like, one of the things he gave out was a book that said shit that Trump says, It was really fun.
He's exactly what you would hope he would be. And also, by the way, Mahershala Ali is too. Mahershala Ali is kind of like a holy guy. He's like being around the Dalai Lama. Honestly, he's got like just a holiness to him. He's such a wise, good man, and patient with everybody, and thoughtful, and just really good. But Vigo's, he writes like, "What are you doing on the weekend? What are you up to?" "We're writing poems." I'm like, "You're really doing that?" Because I'm gonna he's got a publishing company. He publishes his own poems. He has a little band. He's an artist. He does everything. He's amazing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen. Now that Green Book is back in theaters, and it's still in theaters, you can do your due diligence by spreading the word about Green Book if you haven't already done that. Because how do you spread the word about movies these days? You do it on social media. So you go on Facebook, go on Twitter, go on Instagram. In the back, if you're still using MySpace, totally fine. And please spread the word about Green Book, ladies and gentlemen, writer, director, producer,
Thank you, Scott.
Yes, you bet.